She grew up just 1.5 hours outside of Indianapolis, won Miss Basketball, starred at Purdue, played for the Fever and helped the franchise win its only WNBA championship as an assistant coach in 2012. Even after she quit as Fever head coach in favor of Vanderbilt in 2016, Indiana and the Fever franchise was never far from her heart. "This is just a really, really special place, special franchise," White said. "It's been a part of my DNA from day one, and will always continue to be a part of my DNA." And, Fever announcer Pat Boylan would ask me, every time I come back, "What's it feel like, when you come back in this building?" And every time I said, "It feels like home." White spent 6 years at Vanderbilt before she was let go in 2021. She got back into the WNBA in 2023 with the Connecticut Sun, winning League Coach of the Year in her first season and bringing Connecticut to the WNBA semifinals each of the 2 years she coached there. Being out in Connecticut, though, was difficult for White's immediate family, which includes her partner, ESPN sideline host Lisa Salters, and their 4 growing boys as part of their blended family. They're based in Nashville, which has no direct flights to Hartford, the closest airport to the Sun's home arena. Even after landing, it's an hour-long drive to Uncasville. Being out in Connecticut every year, I would sit down with my kids and my family, even before I took the job, when I was interviewing for other jobs, and just say, "Hey, are we on board with this?" White said. "Each fall, it has been really difficult, because I did not see my children a lot from the time they go back to school in August until I get home in October. It's something White knew wasn't sustainable for her, Salters, or their kids. Their time as a family is already limited because of their respective demanding work schedules." White also works as an analyst for ESPN in the WNBA off-season, and being in Connecticut was making their time together even shorter. White's kids attend school in Nashville, making it difficult for her to see them for up to 3 months at a time, depending on how long the Sun went in the playoffs. It was also a situation where she, or her kids, were barely seeing her sister, nephew, mother, or other family members at all. White still technically had a year left on her contract with the Sun, running through the 2025 season. She could have just waited the contract out, after all, it's just one more season. But it was one more season she wouldn't be able to see her kids, who are already growing fast. 1 is 13, and 3 are 11. There's only so much time before they leave for college and create lives of their own. For those of us who have children, you don't get these years back, right? White said at her introductory news conference Monday. "You don't get this time back. And my family sacrificed a lot of time with my children, and for them to now be able to have them around more often, for me to be closer to home, it was really important." There's always a time in your life where you feel like everything needs to be grounded, everything needs to be centered, so that you can be where your feet are. So, when White was considering leaving Connecticut, she had a conversation with her agent on what was most important to her. First was a good situation professionally. It needed to be a franchise with the means to support her and the players, in a position to be able to compete for a championship and have success. Secondly, it needed to be closer to her family. "It can't be one or the other, right?" White said. "It can't just be close to home and not have a good infrastructure, not be a good situation professionally. And it can't just be a good situation professionally and then not be a good situation for my family." Indiana was the perfect fit. She's close to her hometown of West Lebanon, Indiana, and a 4-hour drive down I-65 from Nashville. The Fever have a young and talented roster with players like Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexie Hull. They have the facilities and ownership that supports the WNBA in an equal manner, and they have championship aspirations. Aspirations that became more realistic with White at the helm. "I think our window has been accelerated," Fever president Kelly Krauskopf said. "I don't like to put timelines on championships, but I know that we have a pretty good start." Fever president of basketball operations Kelly Krauskopf emphasized the significance of White's return. "As we enter this new era of Fever basketball, I am thrilled to welcome Stephanie back to the franchise," Krauskopf said. "Stephanie is a part of the fabric of this franchise, both as a former player and as a member of our championship coaching staff." White's history with the Fever stretches back to the team's early years, playing in the inaugural season in 2000. Originally selected by the Charlotte Sting in the 1999 WNBA draft, White made her way home to Indiana. Connecticut Sun head coach Stephanie White reacts after a foul called on the Sun during the first half of Game 5 of a WNBA basketball semifinals against the Minnesota Lynx, Tuesday, October 8, 2024, in Minneapolis. AP photo/Abby Parr. White arrives with an impressive coaching resume spanning nearly 2 decades, including stints with the Chicago Sky and Vanderbilt University. Most recently, she led the Connecticut Sun to 2 WNBA semifinal appearances and was named the WNBA Coach of the Year in 2023. Often regarded for a defense-first approach, White led Connecticut to one of the league's top defensive ratings during her time with the team. White's extensive background as both player and coach brings the Fever a seasoned perspective and commitment to success. Indiana Fever rookie guard Caitlin Clark speaks with the media before the tip-off of the game against the Seattle Storm on May 30, 2024 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. Photo/David Dixon. Fever fans celebrate White's return, seeing it as a necessary shift for the organization. Fever fan Triana Trey Moore believes White's comeback is necessary for more than just the organization. Before there was a Caitlin Clark for the Fever, there was a Stephanie White, Moore said. For Stephanie White to be able to mentor someone of Clark's caliber while also having a team-forward mentality can take us to the next level. This move is something that we, as fans, as a city, needed. Moore, who played basketball at Lincoln Trail Community College in Illinois, sees White's return as a promising step forward for women's sports. I love to see that women's basketball is getting so much love and attention. The game is going in the right direction, Moore said. With the 2025 season set to begin in May, White's ultimate goal is the gold. I look forward to working every day to help deliver another WNBA title to the greatest basketball fans in the world, White said. While decisions like these are never easy, it is also imperative that we remain bold and assertive in the pursuit of our goals, which includes maximizing our talent and bringing another WNBA championship back to Indiana, shared Indiana Fever President Kelly Krauskopf in a statement. It was an official announcement of parting ways with Fever's head coach Christie Sides following her 2 seasons in the role. Just a few days later, her position was filled by former Connecticut Sun coach Stephanie White. Since then, White's potential impact on the Fever in the upcoming season has been the popular discussion. But there was another angle to this story that Sheryl Swoopes recently brought to light, the reason behind firing Sides. I think Christie did as good of a job as she could have. Managing all of the craziness, all of the Caitlin mania, all of the hype, all of the media. It was just so much that came with that. There was so much she had to deal with, expressed Swoopes during the latest episode of her podcast, You Might Also Like, Levels to This with Sheryl Swoopes and Terica Foster Brasby. These were her words after mostly staying quiet about the Fever and their standout players since the off-season began. But, feeling that Sides deserved more respect, she let out her perspective while discussing the coaches in the WNBA. And she wouldn't be far off. The 22-year-old Iowa native, Clark, did bring quite the viewership with her. In the month of May alone, the WNBA saw up to a 94% increase in arena attendance. Even the Fever saw sold-out games one after another since drafting the #1 pick. No one can deny that fans usually came to Fever games to catch a glimpse of Clark playing. Averaging 19.1 points and a league-high 8.4 assists per game, Clark grew more dominant with each game, starting a streak of record-breaking performances. Yet, despite all the expectations and challenges, Sides kept navigating the roster. She even led the team to their first playoff berth since 2016. Though they ended up being eliminated in the first round, the effort behind it was quite evident, and Swoopes took notice. But it isn't the first time Swoopes has commented on Fever or Clark's popularity being a challenge. The WNBA legend's constant commentary was a hot topic throughout the 2024 WNBA season. To start, during Gil's Arena YouTube show, Swoopes made a controversial while Caitlin Clark is taking time off from basketball during the WNBA offseason, one of her Indiana Fever teammates was involved in a mass brawl on the court. Caitlin Clark and her fellow WNBA stars might be enjoying their downtime following the end of the 2024 season. But not all of her Indiana Fever colleagues are relaxing after one of her teammates was caught up in a fiery row during a match on Thursday. Two Fever players have taken their talents abroad in the offseason, with Lisa Smith joining Women's Chinese Basketball Association (WCBA) outfit Zhejiang Golden Bulls and Kelsey Mitchell signing for the Shanxi Xingbui Flame. The American forward was seen wearing the same number 1 jersey that she has with the Fever, along with her trademark headband, as she played in the preseason game. But things were far from friendly as Smith, the number 2 overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft, reacted angrily, having been provoked by an Inner Mongolia player when leading 94-89. Smith received a shove from her opponent as her teammate lined up a three-point effort, and the former Baylor Bears star was far from amused, grabbing the ball before throwing it at her opponent. Unsurprisingly, the Inner Mongolia player returned the favor by launching it back at her. The incident sparked a brief flare-up between the pair, and their teammates were forced to step in to stop the melee from escalating any further. However, it set the tone for a tense match as the referee issued 7 technicals during the game, according to Dallas Wings center Kalani Brown. 7 technicals and a potential fight in a preseason game. The Chinese some crash outs FR, Brown wrote on X, adding 2 crying laughing emojis to complement her reaction. Unlike Clark, who shone in her rookie season with the Fever, 2024 proved to be a difficult year for Smith. Statistically speaking, she produced the worst season of her short career with an average of 10.6 points and 7.1 rebounds. The 24-year-old featured in all 40 of the Fever's regular season games, but she was cast aside by then-coach Christie Sides, who has since been replaced by Stephanie White. Smith only featured for 13 minutes across their 2 games against the Connecticut Sun as they bowed out in the first round of WNBA playoffs. Now entering the final year of her 4-year deal with the Indiana franchise, it remains to be seen whether Smith will return for the 2025 season to play alongside Clark and Mitchell. Fever's president of basketball operations, Kelly Krauskopf, has refused to divulge her plans for Smith's future beyond her current contract. "I'm not going to tell you I know exactly what her future looks like," Krauskopf said. "She's a part of our team right now, and she's an important part of the team, so she's a tremendous talent." On Wednesday's broadcast, the Iowa Hawkeyes star Hannah Stuelk gave her take on the Iowa Hawkeyes sold season tickets, which meant they weren't here to perish in Clark's absence. And the 21-year-old seemed to be taking a dig at the former NCAA queen. "It's amazing. Iowa fans are loyal and they'll always be there no matter what. No matter who's there. Caitlin's gone. We've already sold out again. So it wasn't just about her, but they're so loyal to us. And they always show up for us. So I think it's just amazing. It's like a family. A really, really big family," Stuelk stated. In October end, the Hawkeyes announced that they had sold out all 15,000 season tickets for the second consecutive year. According to reports, the program announced it would sell all the tickets in August last year. This means that the Hawkeyes fans will keep an eye on Jan Jensen's first year as the head coach, as implied in the video. And this has once again come after their championship finale appearance, much like last year. In reciprocation, the Hawkeyes fans get a good home slate. However, this year, student tickets are still available, priced at $65 for 15 games. Fans can also buy single-game tickets priced from $5 to $10. Last year's ticket sales were anticipated since it was Clark's probable, at that time, final run with Lisa Bluter and company, but surprisingly, Jensen and company has maintained the same standards. Not only Iowa but even the LSU Tigers have maintained the hype. Whether Kim Mulkey and company have sold out season tickets or not isn't known, but prior to their game against Eastern Kentucky in the season opener, the arena was completely sold out, as Mulkey herself revealed. This again showed that despite Angel Reese's absence, the Lady Tigers maintained their standards from last year. This could also signal that women's basketball is now at a new stage. "I've just heard today that we have now sold out the arena. And that's just so good. It's so good for our players and school and our program. It's gonna be fun. I've got a lot of depth at the guard spot. And got just enough posts to create a little havoc. And we're still relevant, and that's what I came here to do," Mulkey stated. Meanwhile, LSU won the season opener against ECU by a 95-44 margin. Hence, fans will be expecting that even their rivals, the Hawkeyes, won't disappoint them. Although Iowa emerged victorious in the game against Northern Illinois by a 91-73 margin, it remains to be seen how they perform in the long run.